and welcome to episode 5 of the Animanicast.
He asked a lot of questions to find out what we think. These Dr. Scratch and Sniff, the studio shrink. He says,
how do you feel?
We say with our hands.
How do you stay together?
We use rubber bands.
I want to know your psyche.
There's two inside our skull.
Now what would you call that?
A bi-psyche skull. He knows our motivations, that's what he'd like to think. He's Dr. Scratch and Sniff, the studio shrink.
Song theme. Welcome to the Animanicast. We are a podcast dedicated to the animated television series, the Animaniacs. We are going to revisit each and every episode of the series, discussing the cultural references, all the gags, all the jokes. We're going to share our memories of first watching the episode, what we think about it right now, and in the end, we're going to give the episode a water tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me are my co-hosts, Nathan.
Not nothing.
And Kelly.
Hello.
How do you do?
How do you... Hello, nurse. I don't...
Boys, go fig.
Well, we are going to be talking about episode 5 today, Taming of the Screwy. This is an episode that was originally aired on
September 17th, 1993.
And if I'm not incorrect, I believe this caps off the first initial week of the Animaniacs. So there you go.
The conclusion of the first week.
Yes.
I was confused.
And the variable verse for this week was "The Rain in Spainy." Which is a cool reference to, Nathan?
My Fair Lady?
My Fair Lady.
Yay.
Which I think is kind of cool because both the variable verse and the Taming of the Screwy, which is, of course, a reference to the Taming of the Shrew.
Shrewy.
Not the Shrewy, the Shrew.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm saying it wrong all these years.
All of them have, I know, all of them have a very similar theme, which is, of course, kind of a, teaching someone to be different is in both of those, both in My Fair Lady and Taming of the I almost said Shrewy, Taming of the Shrew, because of course in the original Shakespeare Taming of the Shrew,
Petruchio has to tame Kate.
Okay, and what is he taming her to be?
Not a shrew.
Like a
lovely bride.
A lovely bride, right. He has to tame her to be like a proper woman because she's way too, I don't know.
Because women should not speak out.
Exactly. Thank you.
They should not have thoughts of their own or...
Of course. Yes, it's very controversial by today's standards, obviously. I'm actually kind of surprised because in our 6th grade class at my school, they have to read Taming of the Shrew. I'm kind of curious as to how 6th graders and how people today think of that particular play. Anyway,
isn't 10 Things I Hate About You a modernized version of that?
Yes,
too?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a modernized version. So if some of the listeners out there perhaps have never seen Taming of the Shrew but are familiar with that movie, then there you go.
It's worth seeing if you have not seen it.
Yes, it's a very funny movie. I've only seen it like once or twice, but I do remember it being funny. So today's episode had multiple credits on it. So we have the story was by Peter Hastings, Earl Kress, and Tom Ruger. It was written by Peter Hastings, and then it was directed by Alfred Jimeno. And basically the story itself, it's basically like I said before, the Warners want to go to a party, so Dr. Scratch and Sniff has to teach them manners in order to go to it. They can't act so silly. They have to contain themselves. And a very funny episode. I liked it a lot. So we're going to talk about this, and the way we're going to split it, since there's only one
episode.
Well, yeah, it's only one kind of
Segment.
one cartoon split over commercial breaks. Is Nathan and Kelly are going to talk about or introduce the first segment where it's like in the psychiatrist's office, and then the second segment, which is kind of going to the Hollywood party. And there's quite a few references and many quick fire gags to discuss which ones we like the most. So, Nathan, why don't you go ahead and start us off? What happens here in segment 1?
So starting off, we're in Mr. Plotz's office, and he's basically telling Dr. Scratch and Sniff that he could win. Well, he could get $1 billion if these Japanese investors meet everyone on the Warner Brother lot, and if they like everybody. But that includes everyone, including the Animaniacs. So you, Dr. Scratch and Sniff, have to teach them good manners. So then we're in Dr. Scratch and Sniff's office. The Animaniacs come in with a song, plenty of songs, fun, and they're not very good at learning manners, is basically this whole first segment. I think sums it up pretty well.
They're able to put it all together at the very end, right there. Because,
spoiler,
because they want to go to the party, and they have like a cute little moment where they tell Dr. Scratch and Sniff that they love him, and they give him a big kiss, and they all hug, and they say, "Oh, let's go to the party," and that was cute. So I really like this segment. Well, what do you guys think? What are some moments and stuff in this first psychiatrist segment, I guess we could call it, that really stood out to you? Stuff that you really like or remember from first watching it as a kid?
Well, there's a reference to Chicken Boo right at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's
one of
right.
the first things you hear is...
It was a chicken, I tell you. A giant chicken.
He was a chicken, I tell you. Is that the first reference to
Yes, that's the first time and so that is something that is...
It's like foreshadowing.
You would not pick up what the heck they're talking about until reruns, basically, as a kid. Like, oh my gosh, they're talking about Chicken Boo. That's cool.
Yeah, which I thought's kind of a neat... Like, shows do that now, where they kind of reward you later for watching the episode, so it's kind of a fun... I like that.
Yeah.
And then, I like that Dr. Scratch and Sniff has a theme song now.
Oh, yeah. I don't think... I have 3 Animaniacs CDs. I have the original soundtrack, Variety Pack, and Yakko's World. Those are the 3 ones I have, and I don't believe that song is on any of the CDs, and I really do like that. I guess Nathan, you called it the Dr. Scratch and Sniff song, but it's kind of like
basically his theme song.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I also liked how they kind of they start discussing when Mr. Plotz is talking with Dr. Scratch and Sniff. He goes,
I can't have those. What are they?
I don't know.
And that's a question that I know on Twitter people still have. They're saying, what are the Animaniacs?
Yeah.
Are they dogs? Are they cats?
We know they're not monkeys.
Well, they made a song about it.
Exactly. We'll find out next episode what they are. Kelly, what did you think about this first segment?
I thought it was really funny. I really liked the fact that for the first time we get to see, it happened twice in the episode, but you get to see Dot's pets.
Be quiet, please. I have something to tell you.
Ooh, story time.
Get right to the scary part.
What scary part?
The part with my pet.
Yeah, your pet. Okay, good pet. Now listen.
Where it's kind of a running gag where she has a little box and she opens it up and something really crazy pops out and it's never the same thing twice.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to see the Warners interact with Dr. Scratch and Sniff. They just give him such a hard time.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. They really are like the chemistry between Dr. Scratch and Sniff and the Warner Brothers and Dot are just fantastic. They really are the perfect pairing.
Yeah, and we get to see more of the interaction with Miss Nurse and how Dot gets so annoyed with the way the boys are around her, and she's so over it most of the time.
Yeah.
And that's a recurring theme throughout the series as well. So we get to see a lot of things that really start to become recurring gags, I think.
Yeah, definitely. when it comes to some of your favorite lines, what are some of the things that stood up for you guys, at least maybe from when you were a kid, and what you thought was really funny now?
I really like the mumbling joke that they do. Oh, let's get in a huddle.
Well, yes or no? Well, what did you decide?
Oh, I like that one too.
The joke that I remember laughing out, like my brothers and sister and I, we just laughed out loud when we first saw it. It did not go over our heads, which was,
Ooh, a giant Pez dispenser. Want one?
Please.
Stop playing with my bust!
Good night, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
and, yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Yes, that I remember just, oh my gosh, I thought that was hilarious as a kid. And by the way, that bust, he calls it Siggy right there. So for you folks who, I know this because I was a psychology major in college. That right there was Pavlov. No, that was Sigmund Freud right there. So there you go. Oh, and other little things as well, just like the make a little, there's a part where they go, make a little curtsy, and that
Little kids.
yes.
Little kids.
Dot, would you care to give it a try? But I'd like you to make a little curtsy.
Thanks, but I did before I left home.
No, a curtsy. Make a little curtsy.
Make a little curtsy, a little curtsy.
Stop it. Stop that. I am not here to amuse you.
Then please stop being so funny.
Just the whole thing in general right there. I really did like the chemistry between all those guys. It's, again, quick fire, zaniness that they do really well. Anything else that we want to talk about for this first segment here?
The etiquette song.
Oh, yes, the etiquette
That's
song.
the tail end of the first part, right?
Yes, the etiquette song is on one of the CDs. I do. Yes, that kind of just summarizes everything that they had to do in their training and everything.
Yeah, it's a nice summary of the whole first part, basically.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I love the A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U.
Remember that good diction reflects so well on you.
Yeah!
So practice all your vowel sounds by saying
No!
Yes. So I never looked at vowels the same way after this episode. Yeah, I think we got the first part right there. Let's move on to the second part, because at the end of this first segment right here, they say, "Okay, let's go to the party."
Yay, they're so excited.
So we move on to segment 2, and Kelly, what basically happens in the second part? I guess we could say about this episode.
Well, in the second part, the Warners actually get to go to the party because they sort of reveal that they've been messing with Dr. Scratch and Sniff the whole time, and they actually can behave and do curtsies and everything. So he lets them go to the party, and they walk the red carpet, and they're very well behaved and nicely dressed and everything. And you see a bunch of celebrities. The T-1000 comes out.
I'm sorry, sir, but this is a black tie affair.
He morphs and changes into a tuxedo. And you see Thelma and Louise drive their car, and they say, "Oh, we finally landed."
Yes, we should.
You've seen the movie; they're flying off like the edge of a cliff. And,
yes, exactly.
Doesn't ever show them hit the bottom, so they land in the middle of the party, and there's a parody of Mary Hart from Entertainment Tonight. She's a former host of that show, which now I think is just called E.T.
Yeah.
Which makes me think of something else entirely.
You know what, Kelly? I used to actually, whenever that show was on as a kid, they still called it E.T. and everything, and I always thought, like, in the back of my head, maybe it had something to do with E.T. But anyway, yeah. So it was Mary. I think she's called Mary Heartless, and she was actually introduced in some Tiny Toon adventures. Actually, I think. And
maybe it's been so long since I've seen Tiny Toons.
Yeah,
but probably. I think I remember that. So they get into the party, and they meet the Japanese visitors, and Yakok actually speaks Japanese, and it's
really well.
It's amazing, and and Thaddeus Plotz is freaking out because he's so worried they're going to ruin things, and he, keeps messing with his collar. He's sweating. He's very nervous. He has no idea what to expect, and their visitors are not terribly impressed with him or the party. And then it goes inside, and you see a bunch of different people at a table. There's Michelle Pfeiffer dressed as the Catwoman, and they say, "Oh, there's a thing in your soup or milk," and Thing from the Addams Family comes out, and I love that. I love the Addams Family, and I think that's really funny. And then they get sent back to the water tower because Thaddeus Plotz wants them gone, and so then they decide, "Oh, okay, now we're gonna party and ruin everything." So they start doing their zany hijinks, and Thaddeus thinks everything's ruined. And the Japanese love it. They said, "Who's responsible for this?" And he's like, "I'm not. No, not me. No, it's them. It's all them.
These things."
And they're like, "Oh, great, are they?" And they give the Warners the $1 billion check instead of Thaddeus Plotz, and he's so upset. And there's dancing, and Madonna comes out and says, "Let's play Truth or Dare." Beauty and the Beast show up. They get kicked out of the mob of dancers. There's just tons of stuff and cameos. Some of them I didn't even recognize. I did recognize Gallagher smashing a watermelon. Wayne and Garth from Saturday Night Live are there, and Spike Lee and
I have
Jack Palance.
Yes, I have a quick list here of the different celebrities that we see. So,
cool.
We have Danny DeVito as the Penguin. We have the Lethal Weapon 3 cast. Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, Joe Pesci, Sigourney Weaver with a shaved head from Alien 3, along with the alien. Yakko makes like a comment to see if Larry and Moe were there too or something, which is cool.
Love your hairdo.
Couldn't Mo and Larry make it? Just kidding.
We have Michael Keaton as Batman. You mentioned Jack Palance, and of course he does this kind of one-handed push-up, which was one of the things Jack Palance, who was quite old at this point, I believe he won an Oscar, I want to say for City Slickers, I believe, and did a one-handed push-up on the stage there at the Oscars, so that became a very...
I remember that. I watched that.
It's kind of difficult. They forget to ask that you go out there and you do all these things. Like, for instance, you go out there and you do these.
Yeah, I heard, and that was like on the news for like the next week. It became very pop culture-ish. Everyone talked about it. There was Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. You mentioned, Wayne and Garth, aka Mike Myers and Dana Carvey. There was Whoopi Goldberg, who I believe is voiced by Tress MacNeille. Very good Whoopi Goldberg impression. Billy Crystal was there, dressed up as a cowboy. He sounded like he was doing his Fernando Lamas impression, which is, you look marvelous, which is something Billy Crystal did quite often. There was Jaleel White, or Urkel, who was saying, "Got any cheese?"
I didn't think his impression was
a terrible impression. Got any cheese?
Anybody got any cheese?
Like, wow. It did not sound like him that much. Gallagher was perhaps the one that was really kind of out of place to me of all the quote-unquote celebrities.
They just wanted to hit him with a watermelon.
I think so. I think just reverse it. Instead of him hitting the watermelon hit Gallagher. So I guess that was
like
cool.
The Russian joke.
Yeah, and
in Russia.
A ton of different celebrities, lots of cool stuff. So Nathan, Kelly, what do you guys think? What do you like about the second part right here when they're at the party?
I just love all the cameos. There's so many every second. What's that?
I forgot a couple cameos.
Okay.
Speaking of cameos, there's a few that were like, I was looking online and people are kind of like, who is that? Slappy Squirrel talks to somebody.
You remind me of a very mature Johnny Quest.
And there's a lot of debate about who that is. He kind of looked like Harry Connick Jr. to me a little bit. But apparently some people think it's Luke Perry, which I could totally see. Luke Perry did have those sideburns going on. And the one thing I felt very, very proud of myself because I knew something that the Wikipedia people didn't know, which they were saying. There's a part where Spike Lee is talking to a baby on an actor's back. Spike Lee is saying, "Please, baby, baby, please, please," which I believe is from Do the Right Thing. But he's saying that to this couple online. It's saying, "Is that Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman?" And no, it's not. I know exactly who that is.
Who is it?
It is Warren Beatty and Annette Bening with the baby on the back. Okay. So there you go. I know that because at the time, Annette Bening and Warren Beatty had gotten married, and after Annette Bening got pregnant, and in fact, Annette Bening was going to be playing the part of Catwoman in Batman Returns, but had to drop out due to the fact that she got pregnant. So there you go. In case you didn't know that, that's a little bit of trivia right there for you. All of these movies, today we look at them and we're going, okay, who's that? Who's this? Who's that? The majority of all the people that are referenced right here, these are all movies that had come out either in 1991 or 1992. So we have Batman Returns, 1992, Lethal Weapon 3, 1992, Alien 3, 1992, Wayne's World, 1992. Madonna had a movie called Truth or Dare, came out in 91. The Addams Family came out in 91, and Beauty and the Beast came out in 91. Wow. So all of these, today we look at them and we're going, who is this? but at the original air date in 1993, all these celebrities would very much be in the
popular culture.
Yeah, popular culture. Everyone would know who they are. One thing I also liked was it's kind of interesting to notice this whole idea of Japanese investors. I think at the time in 1993, when this episode was originally released, America was in a recession, or at least getting out of one. And being in a recession, there was this, I remember a huge push to buy American, don't buy from the Japanese. And in a lot of movies and a lot of pop culture, the Japanese were seen as this group of people that were coming over here because they had money and they were going to buy American companies and take them overseas, etc., etc. So this kind of fit that early 90s mentality, I think, a lot of the Japanese are coming to Warner Brothers and they're going to invest $1 billion, and we have to invest. We have to, what's the word I'm looking for?
Run away.
No, I'm not sure. We have to impress the Japanese. What the word I'm looking for. So that's just another little quick thing I noticed that really fit in for this episode.
We find out that all the Animaniacs have a favorite actor or actress in this episode. Right. So
Michelle Pfeiffer,
Mel Gibson,
Don Knotts.
Do you, Kelly? Are you familiar with Don Knotts' work?
Slightly.
I'm only slightly familiar with Don Knotts. Is probably most well known for being on the Andy Griffith Show, but I would suggest everybody watch one of my favorite movies in the world, which is Nathan.
Is it the Andy Griffith Show?
No.
The movie?
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
Nathan knows what it is.
It's the Ghost of Mr. Chicken.
Not the Ghost of Mr. Chicken.
The Ghost and Mr. Chicken.
The Ghost and Mr. Chicken.
That's the one.
Yes. The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. If you want to see Don Knotts doing some fantastic stuff, don't look at the Andy... Well, you can look at the Andy Griffith Show. But don't if you just want to get a quick hour and a half, this is Don Knotts at his prime.
I have been called brave. What is brave? Let me demonstrate. Now, some men are afraid of girls. Well, that's silly. Girls can't hurt you. A brave man just sweeps the female right off her feet. Nothing to it. Some men are afraid of men. No red-blooded American boy should be afraid of men. Be bold, be firm, and above all, be sure-footed. Some men are afraid of ghosts. That's kid stuff.
Do haunted houses scare you?
They're mortar, stone, and wood.
Well, good, because you're going to spend the murder night in the Simmons house alone.
Some men are afraid of their shadows. Some shadows are afraid of their men. So what is brave? How should I know? I'm chicken. And you're chicken if you miss this movie.
Check out The Ghosted Mr. Chicken, because you won't
Wasn't Don Knotts in Scooby-Doo a lot, too?
He was like one of the guest stars. He was like all the people that they run into. It was either, I think they rotated between the Harlem Globetrotters and Don Knotts. maybe Batman too. But yes, Don Knotts was on.
That's probably how I'm most familiar with him, is from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, so yeah, Don Knotts is somebody who he was even, he passed away, I want to say about 10 years ago, but he was very active in stuff all the way up into his later years. He was even in some episodes of Robot Chicken and everything too.
Oh, wow.
Doing some kind of some twisted stuff. And of course he was on stuff like Three's Company. He played the landlord as well. So that's what I think was probably.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So, we got stuff from Don Knotts. Everyone, and Wacko knows. So just so if you want to be like Wacko and you want to follow the work of Don Knotts, there you go. There's many different.
There you go.
Yeah. You don't need his IMDb page. Just listen to us and you'll find out what to go to. What are some other things that you guys really liked about the party scene right here? Stuff anything that stood out? We went through all the different celebrities, which are really cool.
They spoke real Japanese, which was neat. I was using Google Translate.
Oh, yeah.
ご機嫌いかがですか?
東京はとても面白いところですね。
ぜひいらしてください。
まだ行き場所があればね。
So what did he say? Like, I've seen some translations online.
Yeah, I saw those too, and I was like, well, I should double check because you never know. It's
okay. So what
online? So the big speech I got from Yakko initially was, "It is where Pokemon today is very interesting." But that might be wrong.
Yeah,
so
I don't think Pokemon was really in the...
I did it again.
Okay.
And I separated it out to each person. So, for Yakko, I got Tokyo. It is a place very interesting.
Yes.
And then, the response was, please come and need, which doesn't quite make sense, but... And then I got I wherever, and I was like, that didn't make sense. So I tried it again, and it said, I if there is still place. So, and that got really close to what Wikipedia said, which you can read that.
Yeah, Wikipedia says, Yakko says, Tokyo is an extremely interesting place, isn't it? And Mr. Kato, I believe is how we pronounce it. Mr. Kato says, please go there. And Yakko says, if there's still a place to go, eh?
And then they all laugh.
So, yeah, Tokyo is a very crowded place. That's kind of like the joke right there. It's like there's not many places to go anymore.
I thought it was a Hiroshima joke.
Oh no, please no.
I know, that's why I was like, that's like not funny.
No. No, it's much more like because like some of the hotels in Japan and stuff, you've seen Lost in Translation, right, Nathan?
Yes.
So you know how like the hotels, like the joke is how you have to sleep in beds on top of each other and
okay,
sections.
that's much
stuff.
better of a joke than.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it's just a very crowded, busy place. One thing I really liked about this episode is the fact that we mentioned all these different celebrities. In the first episode of our podcast, I listed off all the different celebrities that go by very quickly on all the pictures and everything like that, and I immediately thought, who is that right there? And having to do like research and find out who these different people are. It was very reminiscent. This cartoon is very reminiscent actually to some of the cartoons that were made often in the 30s and 40s by Disney and Warner Brothers, and I'm sure many of the other animation studios as well. But the two cartoons that really automatically came to my mind was in Mickey Mouse. There was a cartoon called Mickey's Gala Premiere, where Mickey comes to like the premiere of one of his cartoons, and there's a ton of different celebrities of the 1930s right there.
Tonight's the night of Mickey Mouse's premiere, and every star in Hollywood will be here. Mickey's great big celebration is the talk of all the nation. Just hear those people cheer. They're giving Mickey Mouse a grand ovation. His picture's going to be a big sensation. Picture stars, movie queens, high silk hats, limousines, Hollywood is on parade.
So if you look at that today, probably most people would only be able to recognize maybe the Marx Brothers, and that would be about it. But then Warner Brothers later did a cartoon called Hollywood Steps Out in 1941. And that was, first of all, it looks beautiful. It's in bright Technicolor. There's a lot of celebrities in there that we'd be familiar with as well.
Oh, Jimmy, that rhythm does something to me. Let's dance. Will you, please?
Sir, it's not that I don't want to, you understand. It's on account of that. Gee whiz, I don't know any of these modern steps here.
Oh, come on, Jimmy. Please. For me?
Oh, sir, heck, I guess I might as well try it.
Rhett Butler was played by
Clark Gable.
Clark Gable has this ongoing gag in that particular cartoon, and the characters, the animation, and everything is really, really good. So I'll put both of those episodes up on our Facebook and Twitter and show notes and everything like that, so the folks out there can watch those two cartoons and see the similarities with in particular with Hollywood Steps Out. They're all at individual tables, and a lot of the plot is they're having a party and there's a lot of celebrities. So I could really see this episode having a lot of inspiration from Hollywood Steps Out, being a Warner Brothers cartoon and everything like that. So that was cool to see.
Makes sense.
Especially that now that kids can look at this and go, it's hard to believe that this was, oh gosh, almost it was over 20 years ago that this episode was made. And that's a long time. So kids today have really very, many of those stars, they have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
So they'll have to look them up. Anyway, so other than the celebrity stuff, what else do we want to talk about? What other things do we like about this?
There was a reference of Rita and Runt. Did we talk about that?
Oh yeah, Rita and Runt make another appearance in this right here as well. I guess that was really kind of a cool thing as well to just kind of see.
Yeah, they haven't been introduced yet.
Yeah, they just kind of see again these little teases of things to come, and it really worked well again, like as a rerun episode as well, to kind of see people that you would see in future episodes. So
did we mention B. Arthur yet in the swimsuit calendar?
That's right, B. Arthur.
I'm putting out a swimsuit calendar.
Not while I'm eating.
Of course, B. Arthur at the time was on the Golden Girls. So it's got a renewed popularity recently. I don't think the caricature really looked like B. Arthur that much, but it sounded like B. Arthur. I'm pretty sure that was Tress MacNeille doing B. Arthur's voice, and I think she did good.
They had mentioned that earlier, I guess when they were in Scratch and Sniff's office, because they said, "Oh, and B. Arthur's doing a swimsuit calendar."
Oh,
and
I missed that.
There's also some bad news.
B. Arthur's putting out a swimsuit calendar?
She is? Of course not. No.
That's a great callback right there. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's partly how I knew who it was for sure.
Yeah, I had no idea. Let's go ahead and give this episode a Water Tower rating. Kelly, what do you think? What do you give this particular episode, Taming of the Screwy?
I'll give it 3. I liked it. It had a lot of funny gags and just a lot of cameos and a lot going on. And I liked the etiquette song. It was on the soundtrack that I owned. And it's always fun to see the Warner Brothers interact with Dr. Scratch and Sniff. But it was not one of the best. There's so many more episodes that I loved a lot more and that I consider a lot more memorable. So I'll give it an average. I'll say it's 3 out of 5.
Mm-hmm. Nathan, what do you think?
I'm doing 3.5.
All right.
Out of 5. I enjoyed that first part enough that I liked all the songs that they sing, and I don't know. Their relationship with Dr. Scratch and Sniff in that scene is just, I think it's just classic Animaniacs.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3.5 as well. I agree. The first part, I think, really, it's. I think it was actually split by a commercial break. So the first part is actually kind of 2 segments, and then it's kind of capped off with the party at the very end for the third part. But the first 2 parts are definitely, there's a lot more gags. And the songs in it are really great as well. So I'm going to give it a 3.5 as well out of 5, just because I do like the celebrity references.
Yeah, but if you don't know them, it's not.
But at the same time, like I say, that's one of the things I love obscure kind of stuff that makes me, in case you couldn't tell by now, I love stuff that I have to look up and I go, who is that? Even music wise, I listen to it blends very well into Animaniacs. I listen to a lot of Spike Jones and the City Slickers music, and Spike Jones was like the original Weird Al Yankovic back in the 40s and into the 50s and 60s. He references a lot of singers that I have no idea who they are, and a lot of cultural references that I have no idea what he's talking about, but I enjoy looking those up to find out what the heck he's talking about. It's a weird feeling, because it's like there's a in-joke that you don't really know what they're talking about, that everyone else thinks is funny, and just taking the time to go, what are you talking about? I'm going to look that up. So I appreciate those things. I don't know if other people, especially the younger folks out there, I don't know if they like that kind of stuff, but I always have.
You don't care about them anyway.
I don't care about those kids. Anyway, so there we go.
And now it's time for last week's Twitter poll results. Listeners were asked, how were you first introduced to the hashtag Animaniacs? 11% said Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, The Hub, and other stuff. 15% said DVD or Netflix. 35% were there at the beginning for Fox Kids. And 39% were there for Kids WB. But of course, the winner of the poll was Mr. John Mariano, who wrote in to say he was first introduced to the Animaniacs when he was hired by Steven Spielberg to play Bobby the Pigeon in Goodfellas. So, Mr. Mariano, congratulations, you have won, and your prize is you get my screenplay that I will be sending you. I'd like you to star in my announcer movie about me. So, check your mail. Goodbye, everybody.
We're going to move on to this Twitter poll for this week, which is our kind of an opinion kind of question, I guess you could say, about the love interests of our favorite and only Warner sister, Dot. In this week's episode, she's at a party, and she sees Mel Gibson, and she talks about when she goes to the party about how she's really looking forward to seeing Mel Gibson. But due to recent things with Mel Gibson, it's most likely that Dot would not have the same crush on Mel Gibson that she has back in 1993. So the question for this week is, who do you think Dot would have a crush on today in 2016? Kelly, ladies first. What do you think? I'm going to go with Kelly because she's, being a girl, she knows more about who's hot. Because I already have my idea in mind, but he's not the most topical.
Gene Wilder.
Yeah, it's Gene Wilder. How'd you know? I think she'd love Gene Wilder. She's a big young Frankenstein and Willy Wonka fan.
Yeah.
Right?
And look at him nowadays.
He's really hot now. Oh boy. No, but Kelly, who do you think Dot would have a crush on today?
Well, I was thinking maybe Tom Hiddleston. I know he's very popular, in a lot of the current movies that are out now, Marvel, Avengers, and all that. He was also in a Spielberg movie, War Horse, for anybody who hasn't seen it. And he just seems to be super, super hot right now, and he's a great actor, and all the ladies love him. I like him. I mean, I'm not one of those that's dying of a crush. My heart will always belong to Sean Patrick Flannery, aka Young Indiana Jones.
Yes, okay.
But I would say probably Tom Hiddleston. I think they could probably do a lot of funny gags with Loki and different things like that with Dot.
That's where I know him from. I was going to ask you, like, okay, what's he from? I know his name. Tom. Oh, Loki.
I just assumed.
Hi, Loki. I was like, yeah, got it. Okay. So, okay, very nice. So she'd be going, Nathan, who do you think?
Okay. All right. Well, personally, I'd say Chris Pratt. He's just so handsome.
Chris Pratt is,
he was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah, Chris Pratt, duh.
He's also in Parks and Recreation. Well, he was in that, too.
Yes.
Jurassic
World.
So, I mean, another kind of Marvel person.
My wife has a huge crush on Chris Pratt. And
hey, can I change my answer now?
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
Chris Pratt seems like a better answer because then they do all the Jurassic Park references, and Animaniacs is a Spielberg show.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Chris Pratt?
Yeah, I changed my answer.
Yes. I'll say, who are you changing your answer to, Kelly?
Chris Pratt.
All right.
But no, I don't know. I'll stick with Tom Hiddleston.
You're taking Tom Hiddleston.
I like the Chris Pratt answer though. I think they'd be more likely to use him in the show.
Okay.
Let me say that.
All right. I'm gonna, I almost flipped my answer to, oh gosh, and now I'm totally forgetting his name.
Benjamin Cumberbatch.
No. Although there are some women out there who love Benedict Cumberbatch quite a bit. But I was, for some reason, the first one that came to mind was actually George Clooney. Came to mind. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to win our Twitter poll. But that was the first one that came to mind.
I think
actually,
10 years ago.
10 years ago, yeah. But
he was sexiest man back then.
Yes, but he was the first one that came to mind for some reason. I almost went to who plays Captain America.
Chris
Evans.
Yeah, I think
Is that
that's
it?
Right. Everyone's Chris. There's Chris's all over. Which Chris would you like?
Okay, so no, I'm gonna say George Clooney just to mix things up.
So we don't have 3 Marvel.
Exactly. Yeah, although, and we did see, and I'll make a Warner Brothers connection right now. Okay, you ready for this, Nathan?
I'm ready.
Back in the 90s, we went on the Warner Brothers studio tour. Do you remember going on this tour at all with us?
I was on it.
You were on it. Well, we drove by and I was excited because we got to see the Warner Brothers Tower, and it was during the Animaniacs, so everyone's like, they're going to jump out. And we drove by in our little tram past the commissary area, and who did I see eating in the commissary? George Clooney.
Steven Spielberg.
No!
Steven Spielberg would have been more exciting.
It would have been more exciting.
Oh my God. I would have been excited.
But I saw George Clooney.
Jumped out of the tram.
Yeah, exactly. I saw George Clooney at the commissary. If you're able to go on the Warner Brothers tour, that's a much smaller group. I think that's like they take, at least when we went there 20 years ago, it was groups of 10 or 15 people. It was right before Small Soldiers came out.
I remember that.
Yeah, and they said, okay, here's where Small Soldiers was filmed, everybody. So just walk around the set. We got to, they let us out and we got to just walk around the town.
Yeah.
Where they filmed Small Soldiers.
They made it a huge thing about, like, go see Small Soldiers. The best movie ever.
And we did. And we said, all right.
It was more interesting on the set.
So our choices for who would Dot have a crush on today are Tom Hiddleston, Chris Pratt, or George Clooney. And we'll have our results on next week's show.
Exciting!
It is. Who will Dot choose? Let's go ahead.
It's about as exciting as The Bachelorette or something.
This is as exciting as The Bachelorette. I agree.
Will there be roses and everything?
Probably not. That's not zany enough for the Animaniacs. She wouldn't give them flowers. She would give them, I don't know. So
kisses.
Lots of kissy.
A new pet in a box.
Yes. And we also have to make sure we mention a few awesome contests and different ways to interact with the show right here. First of all, we have a contest going on once again for some cool Animaniacs decals. You can win Yakko, Wacko, and Dot decal.
What?
As well as a Pinky and the Brain decal. You can slap them on whatever you want around your house. You can slap them on your fridge. You can slap them on your cat. You can slap them on your head. I don't care what you do, but...
How do you talk? How do I talk? How do I get these decals?
All you have to do, Nathan, is... Well, number one, you can't get it. I'm sorry. But if anybody out there wanted to get them, they could go to the iTunes page and leave a positive review. If it's a 1-star, I'm just not going to give it to you. Sorry. I'm sorry. You're not in the running.
I'm just going to put 5 stars. Give me decals, please.
Yes, that might just do it. But no, we're going to run this contest until we get at least a few. And then we'll pull somebody at random, and you will win some decals worth, I don't know, at least $1 million. I don't know how much.
That's how much I'd pay.
Yeah. This is a rough estimate. But yeah. And also, we're having a cool little way to interact with us. If you have a Yakko doll, or if you just print up a picture of Yakko and put him in front of something in your town and just put a hashtag of Yakko's World on it. One thing about hashtags, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you can't put in that little apostrophe in there. It has to be all one word, no apostrophe. So I'm sorry, Yakko's World, all lowercase, all together. It'll work. And we have on the Twitter page right now and Facebook, you can see a picture of the Yakko doll that I bought. And Nathan's going to borrow him as well and take a picture of Yakko in front of something else in here in Tucson. So
be awesome.
So
look forward to that.
Yeah, so spread the Yakko's World stuff going on there. That'll be cool. Contact information. So for you, Nathan, Kelly, we haven't shared your Twitter information in a couple episodes. How do people get in contact with you? They want to tweet at you and say, Nathan, Kelly, you two are amazing. What did they do?
Well, I don't know how anyone could ever forget, because it's the most obvious Twitter. Django, FT, Nathan. It makes sense. It makes sense, people. That's me, and I'm always on it 24/7. Twit me up.
Twit you up. Okay. And Kelly, how can people get in contact with you?
I am also on the Twitter, Yoda Princess, YODAPRNCSS. You can also email me, Kelly, KELLY, @BigShinyRobot.com.
And I would like to direct everyone to BigShinyRobot.com to read a fantastic article written by Kelly about the John Williams AFI tribute, which looked, again, kind of similar to today's episode as well. You had a lot of Hollywood bigwigs and stuff like that all in one room sitting at tables.
It made my brain explode.
Yes.
There was one table, and it was George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and John Williams, the bearded trio, if you will.
Yes.
They're also awesome. You can follow them on Twitter, too. But I was crying. I was melting. It was like the Nazi at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was just too much awesome in one room for one night for me.
It really was cool just to see all those different people and just look in the background. Who's that? Who's that? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes, the AFI tribute to John Williams. Amazing. It was on TNT, and I'm sure you could probably find it on demand and things like that now.
I think it's also going to re-air in September, if I recall.
Well, there you go. It's on my DVR, so I get to rewatch it whenever I want. But whatever.
Lucky.
So, with that, for the Animanicast, this is Joey, and for Nathan and Kelly, we're going to sign off the same way that the Animaniacs did themselves this episode. Goodbye, Nurse! Good night, everybody. Woo!
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds of the Animaniacs characters or any other Animaniacs-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Warner Brothers, Amblin Entertainment, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.
Boys, go fig.